So we're in section 3.6. So we're going to learn how to do parallel and parallel and perpendicular line constructions. So we talked the other day about the parallel postulate, and the parallel postulate tells us that if we have a line and a point not on the line, that there's exactly one line through the point that's parallel to the line we're interested in. So we're going to learn how to make that construction. So here's my line, and we have this point up here that's not on the line, and we want to construct the parallel line. So there's really only one construction that we need to do. What we're going to do is our steps here. We're going to make an angle, and then we're going to copy that angle. That's really all we need to do for this construction. So to make the angle, I just pick any point here on my line, and I'm going to make an angle from the line through that point. Doesn't matter where I make it. So there's my angle. And now what we're going to do is copy this angle that's right here to this point. So we've done a construction for copying an angle before. So we're going to copy this angle right here. So to copy an angle, let me grab my compass. We set our compass on the point of the angle. And we draw an arc through the angle. Any arc. We made a circle there. All we need is an arc. So we just draw our arc there across the angle. Doesn't matter how big it is. Now we're going to move our compass up to this point, the point where we want our parallel line. And I'm going to draw that same arc. So here's my arc through that point. And then to copy an angle, what we did was we set our point where the arc crosses the angle, and then we set our compass open as far as the angle. So I set the point of the compass right here, and I open the arc across the angle. And now I'm going to move my compass up here to this arc, leaving it at the same setting. Move it right up here. And make that little X. Yes. So what I did was, so we have this arc on both across the rays here. Then I took my compass and I set one point where the arc crosses the angle, and set the other end where the arc crosses the angle on the other side. So it's open exactly as far as the angle across the arc. And then I just move the compass up and set the point where the arc crosses the line up here. And then I just made that little X. So if I took my compass down here, I would have an X right through that point. So I have this copied exactly right up here. And then you take your straight edge and connect this point with this little X. And if we've done everything perfectly, we have a line that is parallel to the line down here. And if your compass, I know your compasses, if they don't stay open just right or whatever, that your line doesn't turn out looking perfectly parallel. But if you did the construction and I could see that you made your arcs and marked everything up correctly, and your line doesn't turn out perfectly parallel, that's fine. We want to be able to do the procedure. Let's look at why this works. So here are two lines. We have this line here and this line here. Here's a transversal, and we have this angle here and this angle here. So for two lines cut by a transversal, what did we call those two kinds of angles? One's inside the parallel lines, one's outside. Okay, it starts with a C. Do you remember what they were called? Those are corresponding angles. And we constructed the corresponding angles so they are congruent. When corresponding angles are congruent, the two lines are parallel. So what we did was construct corresponding angles. That's why these two lines would be parallel. So those two angles are congruent, so that makes the two lines parallel. All right, so let's go through another example. I want to show how to do the construction again, and then we'll move on. All right, so here's our line that we want. So we have a segment, and we want a line through that point that's parallel to this segment. So the first thing we do, we want to make an angle, and we're going to copy the angle. So doesn't matter where I make it, so I'm going to make my angle like so. So I'm going to copy this angle right up here. So I take my compass, set it on the vertex of the angle there, and I just make an arc through that angle. And then I'm going to take the compass, put the vertex right at the point, and make the same arc. So these two arcs, this arc and this arc, are exactly the same. Now I take my compass and put the points where the arc crosses one side of the angle. Bring it over here, so it's now my compass is open exactly as far as the angle, from here to here. And I'm going to take my compass and put the point in exactly the same place up here on this arc. So just like this. Rotate my compass a little bit to make a little X. And then I connect the vertex here to that little cross. See, my line doesn't turn out looking exactly parallel to it. But it's pretty close. So we constructed these two congruent corresponding angles. So that makes this segment parallel to this segment. And this is not the only way you can construct a parallel line. There are other ways that we could do it. This is just, it's nice because we've been talking about corresponding angles, and we know how to copy an angle already. So this one's kind of nice, a nice way to construct a parallel line. So questions on that construction? Yes? No, no. I was just reminding us that those are congruent. We made the angles congruent. They're corresponding angles, and that's what makes the lines parallel. All right, our next construction. We want to make a perpendicular line through a point. So we've talked about making how parallel and perpendicular lines are related. So now we want to construct a perpendicular line through a point. So we have a segment or a line, something like this. So there's our line. We have a point here. And we want to make a line that is perpendicular to this line through this point. So we call this one, our nickname for this one is the smiley face. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our compass, put the point here on where we want our perpendicular line to go through, and we just need to open it up past the line. We open it up past the line, and we draw a smiley face. Doesn't matter how much we open it up, it just has to go past the line. So there's our smiley face. So now what we're going to do is bisect this segment. So we have a segment here. So we make our smiley face, and then we bisect the segment. So our first step is the smiley face. Our second step is to bisect the segment. So to bisect the segment, we learned this one a while back. We put our compass on one end of the segment, open it up more than halfway, and make an arc. So we open it up more than halfway across the segment, we make an arc. Keep our compass setting exactly the same, move our point to the other end of the segment, and make the same arc so those two cross. And we could go up, when we did this before, we made the segment, we made them cross at the top and the bottom. But since we're going through this point, we only have to make them cross at the bottom. But I want to show, when we did it before, our construction looked like this. And we made this, we went halfway across. Okay.
When you make the point on the end where the arc touches, how big did you make it? Is it the same from, like...
So what I did, when I made the smiley face, when I did this.
No, like, I get that, but then, like, you put the point on there, and
Here.
you, like that. Is it, like, the same? Does it matter?
From here, let me make this a little smaller so I can grab it. From here, all we have to do is make sure it goes more than halfway across there.
Okay.
So this would be too small. This, as long as it's more than halfway across, it's fine.
Okay.
And now I just connect my point to where these two cross. So I'm going to go like so. It's going to line up just perfectly. And there's my perpendicular line. And the reason that it's perpendicular, the reason it works is when we bisected this segment, we made sure that this distance was the same from here to here as it was here to here. And when we made the smiley face, we're making sure that, I'm just going to draw in dotted lines. I'm making sure when I do the smiley face that that distance is the same as that distance. So I'm making these two the same, and I'm making these two the same, and so those distances being the same guarantees us that we have a perpendicular line. So we make our smiley face and we bisect our segment. So let's look at that one. Let's look at that one again. So here's our line. Here's our point. Now let me show you something. What if our point were here? And when I try to make my smiley face, I put my compass there, and I try to make my smiley face, it goes off the edge here. What happens then? What do I do? Because now I'm not sure where to put my point to bisect that segment. So what can I do? Just draw the line further. Just draw it longer. So I'm just going to take my straight edge and just extend that out a little bit. I just made that line longer. That's fine. All right, so there's my smiley face. So my steps, we want to do the smiley face. And then we're going to bisect the segment. So there's my segment. Set my compass on one end. Open the compass more than halfway across there. This is too short. That's too short. That'll be fine. Draw my arc down here. I can extend it to the top, but I don't have to because I have this point that I'm going to go through. Bring it to the other side. Draw the same arc. And then connect the points. Like so. And there's my perpendicular line. So we'll call this one our smiley face construction. Any questions on that one? All right, the next one is another perpendicular segment, but this time our point is on the line rather than above the line, rather than off the line. Our point is on the line. So we're going to do a perpendicular segment. Or a line, perpendicular line through a point on the line. And this is our last construction today. So for this one, here's our line, and here's our point. So we want a perpendicular segment through this point. So for this one, we're going to call this one our bow tie. So step one is we're going to make a bow tie. So we grab our compass, we set it on the point where we want our perpendicular line to go through. I'm going to make an arc here and keep the compass set exactly the same. Whoops. And make that arc on the other side. And the reason we call it a bow tie is if I didn't draw this piece in here, if it were just this and this, that's the bow tie on the line. So we made our bow tie. And now our second step is bisect the segment. And that's a construction that we just did on the other one. So we take our compass, open it up more than halfway, draw our arc, move the point to the other edge of the bow tie, keep the compass set exactly the same, draw that arc. Looks like I need to extend it on this side. There we go. So what I did, let me back up. I'll erase these. So I set my compass here, made sure it was open more than halfway. So this is too short, this is okay? Yes.
The first arc, like the very first one, how did you know how?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. As long as it fits on the line, it doesn't matter. You can make it as big. Bigger is usually a little better because it's easier to have your compass be a little bigger than be really tiny. And then I'm going to draw my arc here. Take the compass to the other side, leave it set exactly the same. Draw my arc there, and then just connect those points. And there's my perpendicular line through that specific point that's on the other line. And the construction really works the same way. We made sure that these two little segments are congruent and that the segments that go up to where the line crosses are congruent. So all of those being congruent makes our lines perpendicular. So this is our bow tie construction. So for our perpendicular lines, we'll have the smiley face when the point is not on the line and the bow tie for when the point is on the line. So let's do that one more time, our bow tie construction. So here's our line. Here's our point. We want our perpendicular segment to go through that point. So I set my compass here. Draw that there. I'm going to go around. Oh, that side of my bow tie doesn't touch. So what do I need to do? Just extend my line. Just extend it out a little bit. So here's my bow tie. When you do yours, you don't have to draw this full arc here. Now I'm going to bisect this segment. So there's the edges of my bow tie. Bisect that segment. Open it more than halfway. Make my arc. Leave it the same. Make my arc. And then connect those points. And you can see my construction doesn't necessarily turn out perfectly, but we've done everything right. So we're pretty close to being 90 degrees there. So there's my perpendicular point or perpendicular line through a point on the line. So 3 new constructions. Our parallel line, where we make an angle and copy an angle. Perpendicular line through a point is our smiley face. And then perpendicular line through a point on the line is our bow tie. So all the homework tonight will ask you to do various things with these 3 constructions. So any questions? Okay.